What is going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 2 of Hotel Karlifornia. I am your host with the most, Karlifornia Infirri. It is great to be back here for episode 2. Episode 1 was a complete and utter triumph. A fucking triumph. And I want to thank my good friend Jacob Kenny for the great interview. You know, I'm just so ecstatic about the feedback I got from people. Some people I didn't even really know either. You know, and I had feedback from people that didn't know who Jacob was, but still found the interview, you know, interesting to listen to. That's what I wanted. And we got over 164 unique downloads for the episode, so I really appreciate the support out there from each and every one of you. In future, you know, I'd like to interview some other people from the Perth rock and roll scene, but in this episode, for episode 2, I speak to a man named Brad Marr. Now, I wanted to step outside of my comfort zone. I wanted to talk to someone that I didn't know, to see how I went, to see if I could build some sort of rapport with someone that I didn't know. I wanted to be just as entertaining as I was in episode 1 with anyone that I interview. I don't want it to just be me talking to my mates. I wanted to be able to talk to anybody. So this was my first big test. Episode 2, I interviewed Brad Marr from Melbourne Rock Band Massive, and he is also the boss of Wrecking Crew Touring. So this is a hell of a chat. We get in depth about the state of Australian rock and roll and how some of the promoters out there today are not nurturing the future of Australian rock and roll. They're not looking after it. They keep on banking on these heritage bands from yesteryear. And look, they're great. And Brad and I get in depth about this conversation, about this topic, here in this episode of Hotel Karlifornia. Before we get on with the interview with Brad Marr, I just wanted to talk about a few things. I'll be going to Germany for a month from July 16th. So the podcast will be quiet during that time. I'm going to Wacken, however you say it. 3-day festival, heavy metal. It's going to be absolutely fucking tremendous. So the next episode after that, I'll probably give a little recap of how I go when I go to Wacken. Upcoming Jackson Koke gigs. As you know, I'm the lead singer of Perth rock and roll band Jackson Koke. This Friday night. And I believe the date of that show is the 6th of July. We'll be playing at the Civic Hotel in Inglewood at 8:30 p.m. We hit the stage, and we'll be followed by Fate Fell Short, which is a Blink-182 tribute band. Great doubleheader, but you know, we don't really suit a pop punk gig, but it doesn't matter. It's going to be fun. So if you have no plans Friday night, would love to see you there. The following Thursday night, which is the 12th of July, we're playing at the Sewing Room for the Sewing Room sessions. Looking forward to it. Never played the Sewing Room before. I know it's in Perth somewhere. So check our Facebook page if you want to come down to one of these shows and see what we're all about. So with that being said, here is my interview with Brad Marr from Melbourne Rock Band Massive. I hope you enjoy it, and please subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'm going to get this on other platforms, so once it's on iTunes and Spotify, which I'll be getting onto, please subscribe there if you can. And I just want to thank you again for listening to Hotel Karlifornia. So here is my interview with the one and the only Brad Marr. Hello everybody, and welcome to the second episode here of Hotel Karlifornia with yours truly, the host, the man of the hour, the man with the power, the man that is too sweet to be sour, Karlifornia Infirri. And I am here tonight with a very, very special guest. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, I am speaking to the boss of Wrecking Crew Touring and the frontman of Aussie rock and roll band Massive. I present to you all the incomparable Brad Marr.
Hey, man, that was awesome. That was the best intro of anything I've ever heard, dude. That was awesome.
This isn't going to
Hey,
be
how you
like
going?
I'm good, man. This isn't going to be like a regular interview. This is it's a little bit out of the box, but hope you enjoy anyway.
No, man, that's fine, mate. That's the best kind of interviews.
Excellent.
Free balling it the whole way.
That's why. So how are you going today? You're in Germany, I believe.
I'm in Cologne, Germany. Just summertime here. It's it's a nice warm day. I'm sitting on my balcony watching the day go by, man. It's all right.
That sounds pretty sweet. It's pretty cold and miserable here in
Yeah.
Perth, but I feel a lot better now that I'm talking to you.
Oh, that's good to hear, man. It's good to know that I'm helping you out there. It's good.
Excellent. So I had this all these questions written up with the thought that you're in Australia right now. But as we know, recently our lives have changed forever in this country. I know I can speak for a lot of people when I say life will just never be the same again, certainly for me. I know this will be tough for you to answer, Brad, but on your end, how are you coping without plastic bags?
Mate, I think it's funny because I don't know if you know this, but Australia's like one of the only countries in the world that still has plastic bags, man.
Right.
And the rest of the world is like fine, like no worries, 10 cents for 15 cents for a bag. I'll bring it back next time and use it again. And Australia's meant to be like the laid back, the most laid back country in the world. And we're starting a civil war over plastic, man. It's crazy.
Meltdown.
What's going on?
It's a meltdown, dude. People are losing their minds left, right, and centre here because the thought of just having some bags left in your car to take to the shops, to bring inside the shops, to fill your shopping with, take to the car, take home, take inside your house, and then put back in your car once you've unloaded your shopping. Apparently, that's too much for people here to deal with.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. And look, I feel for you because, if you've got a cat, now you have to find a different way to dispose of your cat litter. If you like to pack your kid's lunchbox with a sandwich and a couple of treats, and you like to put it in a little plastic bag so the crumbs don't go anywhere, you got to find something new. I understand. I get the point, but come on, man. There's problems in the world, like beer prices in Australia are extortionate, and you're worried about plastic bags. Just get on with it, guys. Come on.
You'd think that in Australia we'd be more up in arms about the beer prices than we would about plastic bags.
Exactly. I can't believe that people are happy to spend $60-70 on a slab of beer when, as you said, I'm in Germany, man, and you can get a long neck beer for 70 cents at any kiosk or petrol station 24 hours a day, man. So
don't tease me now.
You're getting ripped off, man.
Well, I'll be there soon enough. In 2 weeks, I'll be in Germany, so I'll be reaping the rewards of those prices, that's for sure.
Yeah, very good.
So you've been playing in rock and roll bands for 15 years, is that correct?
Yeah, pretty much, man. I mean, 15 years ago, the rock and roll bands weren't very good that I was in. I mean, I haven't been a touring artist for 15 years, but I've been playing in bands for 15 years, so,
Right.
It's all a journey, You start off being really crap, and you keep playing, and you get progressively less crap, and until you're, not crap enough to have to stay in your little hometown, and you can be crap elsewhere in the world.
Exactly.
So
You're supposed to be shit.
Where I'm at now.
You're supposed to be shit when you first start out in bands. I mean, that's a all part of the musical journey that people go on,
Well, if you're playing music for fun, then it doesn't matter how shit you are. It's just a matter of having fun. So
exactly.
And if you're not playing music for fun, then you're doing something wrong anyway. So
yeah. So I want to know who your influences were growing up, which led you down this path of rock and roll.
Yeah. Your first record collection's usually your parents. So I had a lot of Motley Crue and Led Zeppelin and Kiss and stuff like that. My first rock and roll album I bought was Appetite for Destruction. So that side of, classic rock and 80s rock really influenced me. But, as you get older, you find more music, and it's, anything from Zeppelin to Sabbath and the 70s and 80s is me. But then anything else that sounds good, I like, so, I'm not stuck in one genre, but, that's the sort of music that I grew up on, so that's the sort of music that I learnt first, and that's the sort of music I write now, so.
Excellent. Yeah, I mean, you're preaching to the choir here. That's exactly where I came from, really, as well. Although it was my sister's CD collection, because my mum liked to listen to, bit of Michael Bolton. Actually, you know what? I've got no problem with Michael Bolton. I like Michael Bolton.
Yeah, no, look, there's good music in everything, mate, but I wouldn't want to be in a Michael Bolton tribute band, that's for sure.
So, life before Massive, in a nutshell. Tell me about your musical journey before Massive was created.
All right, here we go. My first band, I think we played 2 gigs. We were called Sustained Anthem. We weren't very good. We didn't record anything. That was our high school band. Yeah, look, we did a battle of the bands. We didn't win. We played in a dance studio. But we thought we were the biggest band in Greensboro, Victoria at that time. And then we disbanded. We realised that our musical dreams were never going to happen. So that ended quickly. And my second band was called Misty Fizz, which is a terrible name, or objectively a great name if you want your band to be questioned why you called it Misty Fizz for the rest of your life. But we recorded a couple of demos and we played our first real pub gigs in that band, and then we broke up, and then I started my first touring band, which was called Fast Track, and we got around Australia. We did, we played in Perth, we played in all around Australia. We did everything. So that was my first touring band, and it just, you do 3 or 4 years of something and you go, okay, it's either going to be something I do for the rest of my life, or, maybe there's other things out there. And then, I was 25 or 26 or something when I decided that I wanted to not just tour Australia, I wanted to tour the world. So me and a couple of mates started a band, and our first gig was at the Espy Gershwin to 400 people in Massive, and 18 gigs later we got signed to Earache Records in Europe. So it was a pretty quick kind of turnaround, but yeah, within 12 months we were over here playing, showcase gigs and supporting bigger bands. So it was pretty quick turnaround for Massive, but here we are now.
Well, that must have been quite the whirlwind when that all of a sudden happens in a quick turnaround like that. How are you feeling when that's happening? Are you just like, I can't believe this is happening, this is amazing?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because, I mean, we're not the Foo Fighters or anything like that. We're not selling out stadiums, but you don't really see the progression when it's happening. But then you look back and you go, shit, we've toured Europe 5 times now, and we've played Ramblin' Man Fair just on before bloody ZZ Top, and played O2 Arena with Rainbow and stuff like this, and it's stuff that you can't even imagine doing before it happens, and then you don't really think of it when it's happening. It's only when you think back you go, shit, we're doing something pretty cool here. So yeah.
Right, that's awesome, man. So you guys formed in 2012?
Yep.
And you record your first album, Full Throttle, which I listened to for the first time today earlier, which I was quite impressed with.
Very good, man.
Is it true that the band is named after the size of your dick?
Yes, it is. Yeah, only in one of those kind of warped mirrors things. So if you look at it at the right angle, it's massive, and if you look at the other angle, it's a vagina.
Right.
Yeah, it's crazy. You're the first person to pick up on that.
Oh well, I thought so. I'm quite switched on really. So what really the question was going to be why the name Massive?
Yeah, no, that's okay. I thought that was where it was going, but yeah. I thought we'd start with the dick jokes out of the way. Well, to be honest, we needed a band name, and our guitarist Ben was moving house, and we found this big banner in his garage that said Massive on it, and we said, well, if we use this banner and call our band Massive, we've saved $500. So that's no joke. That's how we call the band Massive.
All right, well that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And you saved yourself some money there, so, smart as well.
Didn't have to buy a banner, yeah.
Our band's been going 2.5 years. We still don't have a banner.
You should call your band Massive. You can borrow ours.
Oh, well, there we go.
Yeah.
2014, I'm skipping ahead here in the timeline a little bit.
Yeah.
Is this your first European tour in 2014?
Yeah, so we released the album Full Throttle ourselves in the start of 2013. And then the day we released it, we got signed to an Australian label. So they pulled it and then re-released it. And then 3 months later, we got signed to Earache. So they pulled it again and re-released it in 2014. And yeah, from there, we just went straight on tour. So
once you signed with Earache, would you say that things started really happening?
Yeah, man. They put us on the cover of Classic Rock magazine and, gave away our album for free on the cover of the magazine. So within a week, we had 100,000 copies of our album out through Europe. So
oh, shit, that's pretty good.
Yeah, it was pretty full on. And they had a billboard for us out the front of Heathrow Airport. So for 6 months. So it was pretty full on. Like it went from 0 to 100. It went from 0 to 100 within a couple of months. And yeah,
must feel
we knew we just had to get here.
Must feel real good, but also a lot of pressure that they've put such investment in you so immediately.
Yeah, it's funny because like when you're in it, you don't even think about the pressure. You're just like, okay, cool. We have to save money because we have to get on a plane to Europe, and check your emails every day for more good news or what do we have to do, sort of thing. It's not like we had much control of the steering wheel at that time. We were just told what we have to do and make sure we have the money to do it, sort of thing. So yeah.
Wicked. Tell me about that first European tour. I'm looking for some really cool road stories here.
Well, there's plenty on the first tour, man, because we were green as all shit, man. We just didn't know what we were doing. Well, for starters, we started the tour in the UK supporting a band called The Treatment, who are a pretty big deal over here. And yeah, it was 16 dates in 17 days, and we just got drunk every night because we had a driver, so it didn't matter, and we kind of lived it up a little too hard at the start because, you're touring in another country and you're playing in front of people every night, so it's like, I think we kind of got ahead of ourselves in the first 3 or 4 weeks and then realized, shit, this is a 2-month tour.
Yeah.
Maybe we should slow down a little bit.
I guess naturally you'd feel like, oh man, we're on tour, like I've read all the autobiographies, I've heard all the stories, it's time to party, and then you're like, oh shit, I got to look after my voice.
Yeah, well, I mean, like you get free beers, and then you forget, shit, I get free beers every night. Like if you go to work Monday to Friday, you don't drink on a Tuesday, and a Wednesday and a Thursday. You might have a beer on a Tuesday, but you might not drink every single night. So, yeah, we learnt pretty quick. And on that tour, we hired a van, like an actual band van company, and it was actually a pretty luxurious van. Like it had a DVD player in it and a little table and a power, so you could plug in a kettle and everything. It was pretty crazy, and a PlayStation with games and everything. It was great,
wow.
But it was the most unreliable piece of shit you'll ever see, dude. Like I remember, I think we were leaving Birmingham and going to Cardiff, which is about 3 hours drive. And we got about 10 minutes out of Birmingham and the car just stopped on the motorway. And like, they don't have slip lanes on the motorway like we do in Australia. Like you're on the motorway, you're going. We broke down on the motorway and, in this piece of shit van, we still had all of Europe and Sweden and Norway to get through in this van. And it died in Birmingham. We had a tow truck driver decide that, okay, he's going to do some overtime because he realized we were a band, and he towed us from Birmingham to Cardiff, and like, that's a 200-mile drive.
Jesus.
Across the entire, length of, or the width of UK. And, he got there at 6, so he would have been getting home at 9 o'clock at night just to make sure we got to the gig. And then we're stuck in Cardiff with no van, so we had to get another guy to drive our van out to us at 7 in the morning so we could drive to the next gig. And it's that sort of shit you don't think of when you're on tour. that could happen. But you know, you don't have time to have 4 hours sleep. You're usually sleeping in the van, and as soon as something like that goes wrong, your next week is just absolute shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, we got through it, mate. There was plenty of those sorts of things, but we got through it.
Well, I mean, the van sounded great from the get-go, but you can't get anywhere. But at least you can sit there and watch Groundhog Day, you know.
Exactly, man. Well, actually, it had 2 DVDs in there for us, which was very nice. But it was we had Back to the Future 3, so you know the end of the trilogy. We couldn't even watch the start, and the remake of Karate Kid. So we just watched those 2 movies on repeat.
Oh, great, the remake.
Yeah, not even the good one.
Oh, fuck. You have, awesome to hear some tales of, what can happen on tour. You have toured also with the Screaming Jets.
Yeah, twice now.
Excellent. I mean, touring with them must have been an experience, I would assume.
Yeah, they're like a bunch of 50-year-old kids, man. They're worse than us. Like, they still live in their, they live in their youth. They're not just a bunch of old blokes getting up on stage and doing a job. They party just as hard as anyone else. It's pretty cool.
That's great to hear, because I really hope that I would be like that one day.
Yeah, no, mate. Just stay young and don't grow old and do what you like doing. I think that's their motto. And they've been successful for 30 years now. They don't need to keep going out and playing RSLs and small towns, but they love doing it. So it's good. We became great mates with them on the tour. Like, I mean, we were the first band they've ever asked to do a second tour with. Like, they always have a support, like a local support, and they always change it around.
Right.
And they asked us back the next year because, well, I don't know if you've seen the YouTube videos yet, but we got our dicks out on stage with them. And I think that's solidified the friendship. I think they just went, all right, these guys are dickheads. We like them, so yeah, it worked out all right.
What's one thing you would consider that you learned from the Jets?
Well, if you're going to get naked on stage and do a nudie run, don't do it in Newcastle. That's what I learned.
Oh, right. Was it cold?
No, it's just people in Newcastle don't appreciate seeing dicks.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're a bit more kind of the rugby league blokey bloke. I don't want to see your cock thing. Which is fair enough. I don't want to see another guy's cock either. But doing a nudie run on stage is it's part of rock and roll. It's,
exactly. And if you
the
guys
support
come
band
over,
doing a prank on the main band, of course.
Yeah, and if you guys come over to Perth again sometime, us Perth guys will appreciate seeing a few dicks.
Oh, yeah, it's just you got to get out there and be crazy, man. It's just being free on stage. We felt good. We had a ton too many beers, and what do you do when the headline band's playing their big hit, Better? The biggest hit in the last 30 years. You run out on stage naked, of course.
If you could give advice to any bands out there that really want to get the opportunity to open for a band like a Screaming Jets or something like that, what would you say to them to, stand out above the rest?
Yeah, it's funny because a lot of bands, and that's a good question, man, because, in Australia there's a lot of touring bands, there's not a lot of support options out there, but the people you have to impress aren't usually the bands. I mean, they would have a say,
right,
and the Screaming Jets do have a say, but for them to even hear your name, it's the promoter. The promoter, you go to the promoter first, and then the promoter will give a short list to the band, sort of thing. So to get in front of those bands in the first place, you have to impress the promoter, which sucks because they want ticket sales and they want knowledge that you're going to do something for them. They're the ones, putting on the risk. They're the ones that could lose money. So it's a crap thing that it comes down to ticket sales and money and stuff like that. But, I've found a lot, like we did the Living Colour tour 18 months, just over a year ago, in Australia. And it came about just because, we'd pitched for something else that promoter was doing. And he's actually a Perth promoter. He actually lives in Perth, but he was doing the whole tour, and we pitched for something else, and we didn't get it. But because of the Jets tour and because we'd been playing in all the cities over and over, it was basically, he said, if you can sell 20 tickets to each show, I'll pay you the right amount of money, but I need extra 20 or 30 tickets from the support bands because I'm not making any money from the gig. Living Colour are making the money, but I'm paying them. So,
right.
We get paid our small fee for being a support band, and we get played. We played 4 sold out gigs on that Living Colour tour, and in return we busted our balls and made sure that people bought tickets off us. And I mean, it's sucky that that's the way it is, but it all comes down to money for everyone, really, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I know when LA Guns announced their tour of Australia, I was like hounding the promoter to have us be one of the supports in Perth, and just hammering him because I was like, I've got to try and get us to at least do one. We haven't even done one support yet, of any significance anyway. And it was such a hard process, and he was just as I thought that I was getting through to him, and he was like, seemingly interested. Then all of a sudden they cancelled the Perth show, and it never happened. But I don't know, is that the right way to go about it? Keep hammering them?
Well, I think the promoter was Silverback Touring, if I remember right, wasn't it?
No, it
LA
was
Guns?
No, it was gosh, I can't remember now.
Was Zakaria Touring or someone like that, maybe? Well, whoever it was, like, I know there's like, well, I thought Silverback Touring, Jordan Adams was bringing him out, but whoever it was, like, I know for a fact that LA Guns Perth show hadn't sold enough tickets.
Yeah.
And it was cheaper. It was cheaper for the promoter to lose money by just paying the band what they were going to get paid and cancelling the gig than to fly the band over and lose a huge amount of money on putting on a show that no one would have been at. So
it was from On Tour Presents.
Okay, yeah, right. Well, there you go. So it's a company that doesn't do 100 tours or anything like that. They do 1 or 2 or 3 a year, and if they're going to lose 20 grand on a show that's going to send them bankrupt, it's better for them just to cancel. But yeah, as I said, pitching to promoters is the best way. And there's ways to improve your chances. Like, you've got to have a press kit. You've got to. It's funny because what you think your band has done and what your band has done isn't too important, because if you've been main support for AC/DC for 300 shows in a year, then you can mention that. But if you were the support band for one show for Rose Tattoo down at a local pub 5 years ago, then that doesn't mean anything to anybody. It might be cool that you can say that, but a promoter does not care. So it's a matter of what you say and what the promoter wants to hear, and that's the best way to get that sort of, that leg up, I guess.
Right. So again, you headed to Europe in 2016 for the Aussie Wrecking Crew tour with all Aussie bands, which I just think is a fucking great idea. Is this around the time you started Wrecking Crew touring? Well, yeah. Well,
the tour kind of, brought on the company that I founded. So we do a festival in the UK called Hard Rock Hell. Every second year we get invited back. You can't do it 2 years in a row, but they just love us there. So every second year we do it, and we're doing it again this year. And this 2016 year there was 5 Australian bands announced on it. Hail Mary being one of them. And the Black Aces and Tequila Mockingbird and an Adelaide band called Cherry Grind all got announced on this tour, and we're just like, shit, there's gonna be 20 Australians at this gig. Let's see if we can at least team some up and make a little tour out of it. And we'd had the push from the label already, so we were confident of bringing some numbers, and we were happy to headline, and help these Aussie bands out who'd never been to the UK, at least with places we knew we could pull some good numbers. And it was cool for us because we got to play with our mates and hang out, and it felt like Australia. You're walking into a pub with the Black Aces. I don't know if you know those guys, but they're as Australian as they come. Like,
Yeah.
They, they dress in denim and they drink beer and they like a steak on a barbie, and that's their entire life. So going on tour with them is awesome. You're not feeling like you're homesick at all. So yeah, I mean, it was just a fun idea to kind of bring Aussie bands over who were going to be there anyway. And then from that, yeah, we decided, T-Birds were coming back the next year, so I booked their tour for them, and Black Aces were coming back 6 months later again, so helped them out with some shows, and then from there just gave it a name and kept booking Aussie bands. So
That's
here
great,
I am today.
dude. Excellent. I'm guessing with all those Aussies in one place at one time, there was a lot of pranking going on.
Yeah, look, well, to be honest, that 2016 tour was just as fucked as the 2014 tour with vans, because we went out and bought a van because we were like, well, we're here every 8 months. We had another tour for the next summer already being planned. Let's just buy a van and we can rent it out to people, or we can just, whatever. It's here.
Yeah.
And we bought it 2 days before the first show, and the fourth show it broke down. Well, the starter motor blew, so it was still under warranty. And like the UK doesn't have warranties like Australia. We had a week-long warranty to bring it back, and we were on tour. We were playing every night, so we couldn't really take it to the mechanic to get fixed because it broke down in London, and we had to be in Doncaster, which is 4 hours away, the next night. So being a starter motor and being a manual car, we just roll started it for the next 12 days. They allowed us to keep the warranty because we announced that there was something wrong. So that was all good. But this is a 9-seater, it was a 15-seater van that we pulled out 6 seats out of. And so it was a big minibus that we had to roll start everywhere we went. And I'm talking petrol stations and, out the front of a gig, and you see the 3 bands out the front pushing a van down the street
Yeah.
every night. It was just ridiculous. We toured the country with a van that didn't work for 2 weeks. So yeah, it's all part of the fun, I guess.
I love the visual of all these guys outside the van pushing it, and then it starts and everyone quickly jumps in.
Yeah, it was always like all right, we've got 50 meters before the end of the road. All right, so the lightest person is the driver. All right, the blokes at the back, the girls on the sides holding the doors, pushing from the doors. Everyone pushes, and then once it starts, everyone's high-fiving and hugging, and this is, it's the best feeling. We got the band started. Let's go. It's ridiculous.
Great way to get some camaraderie. So would you say the Aussie Wrecking Tour was a success?
No, it was a disaster, man. Everything went wrong.
Excellent.
The name suited it. But I mean, that was part of the experience, and I suppose if anything, we all got out of it a lot. We all became a lot stronger as bands. We all decided, fuck, we've got to be here again next year and do this again. The gigs were great. That was the important thing. Everything else that could have went wrong did, and we were running out of money very quickly, and the starter motor was only the first problem with the van. The head gasket blew a week later, and we blew a tire on the freeway. We hit a truck at 100 kilometers an hour on the motorway. We did everything to that van, man. The heater hose blew in Germany, and we had to get from Kiel, which is near Denmark, down to Frankfurt, which is a 6-hour drive, and we could drive 50 kilometers before we had to pull over and fill up the coolant reserve with water again, as if it was just leaking out. So we drove there, and it took us, 10 hours to get, 450 kilometers or something like that, just because we stopped every 50 kilometers to fill it up.
Fuck, man. Well, you might consider it a disaster. I consider it a success because you've got the stories now and the memories.
Yeah, that's it. It's a life lesson, and we're all better for it. So
cool. So I want to talk about how you and I got into contact, because there's a big topic that I want to discuss with you here today. I think my friend Leon shared a post of yours where you were talking about the problem with the Australian rock music scene, and some of these lineups that have been posted online of some upcoming tours, and how those tours aren't really looking out for the up-and-coming bands to, help further the evolution of Australian rock and roll. So for those out there that aren't aware, before I ask Brad the question, there was a tour announced called the Red Hot Summer Tour. And it's got Jimmy Barnes, Joan Jett and the Blackhearts, The Living End, Diesel, Richard Clapton and Chocolate Starfish. There's also another one called Hotter Than Hell, which has been announced with Magic Dirt, Spiderbait, Jebediah, Shehad, Killing Heidi, Body Jar, 28 Days and Area 7. So Brad, you hear that, you see that stuff, you had a little bit of a reaction to it. For those out there who aren't aware of what you said, let me know how you felt.
Well, it's pretty simple. I mean, you've got this successful tour, successful festival that's been going for years, and it's a sellout every year, and you've expanded to 24 festivals every year. The Red Hot Summer Tour is now, and you can't put on one band from this century. Every single band. The Living End is the youngest band, and they started in the 90s. So here we are in 2018. With every band being at least 20-year careers, and it's like, it's bad business because it's not even like playing the safe bet. We need the numbers. How many people would be going to that festival and going, I'm going to spend $150 to see Chocolate Starfish, only Chocolate Starfish. I'm saying the Jimmy Barnes fans might love Chocolate Starfish, and they will get there early to see them. But they're coming to see, Jimmy Barnes. And, the Living End fans are a different caliber, but they're going to be there for the Living End. I don't think that on that festival that there will be a single unique ticket buyer for Chocolate Starfish. And my point was that Chocolate Starfish are a successful band. They would be charging thousands of dollars per show for that festival, and bringing zero unique fans. Zero unique tickets to the festival, and it's stupid from the promoters because they're wasting money on not supporting the scene. And it's like, if anything, you could with one little tweak of just opening up the support band, or putting on a band even before them. There's an hour after doors before the first band. The support band, the opening local band, does not even have to be paid much because they're getting the experience and the funds of selling merch to, 10 to 20,000 people. Yeah. The benefits for the local band are huge. The benefits for Red Hot Summer Tour is they save money on paying for an opening, thousands of dollars for an opening band. And they also get this huge PR drive, if they were smart about it, to prove that they're building the future of Australian rock and roll. It's just so mind-numbing that this is the mentality in Australia, because it's only in Australia that this happens.
It feels that way.
Well, I mean, in the UK and Europe, there is big festivals, and sure, it's a bigger scene. There's more festivals, but all of them have a rising stage or an opening stage. Even Download this year had a stage in the tent area for bands that would never even get on a festival in Australia. There are bands that are doing well and pulling 30 to 50 people to their headline shows, and now they can say they've played Download. It's a huge thing for a band to have that on their resume.
Yeah, definitely.
And there's just zero opportunities in Australia, and it's, as I said, it's so crazy because it doesn't cost the festival anything. If anything, it's cheaper for the festival to do it. And I don't understand the mentality. It's madness.
And that being on those bands' resumes will give them more opportunities in the future. So it only just gives positives to those, up and coming bands.
Well, absolutely. But as I said earlier, I can understand promoters not wanting to lose money. I can't understand promoters losing money on an opening band that costs thousands of dollars and not changing it. The whole thing with the LA Guns thing you said before, the reason that show got cancelled was because there wasn't enough tickets sold. The Red Hot Summer Festival tour sells out every year. and makes tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. I don't know the fees, but it's profitable. So why not, instead of spending more money, save a bit more money, make a bit more money, and promote the scene you're in? It's just crazy.
So with you making so much sense right now, what is actually holding back the promoters from giving a new and up-and-coming rock band a shot? What would it be? Well, I don't understand. Yeah, I guess this is just that thing. Neither of us understand why.
Well, I can see their point of view. They're appealing to an audience it's a regional tour. So if you're playing in a country town, those people have never seen, don't usually get Jimmy Barnes coming out. They don't usually get the Living End coming out to these towns. So
yeah,
it's catering for people for a different audience. But saying that, if you're bringing out 5 heritage acts and one, up and coming act, and I'm not talking about a band that hasn't done anything. I'm talking about bands that are signed, or bands that have toured, or bands that have a CD out and have a real hype about them. Just, haven't got that break in Australia.
Yeah.
There's their chance. So I don't understand why they don't do it, because it's successful everywhere else in the world. So, yeah, I can't answer that question for you, man.
Well, I mean, they got to build to the fucking future at some point. I mean, these bands aren't going to be around forever, and bear with me as I have a little rant about it. But and as it pertains to the next era stuff and the evolution of Aussie rock, as the years have gone by since, I don't know, let's say like the 70s, there was always like an evolution to Aussie rock. You had the era of, Akadaka, Rose Tattoo, Angels, Icehouse, In Excess, The Oils, Chisel, The Vinyls, whatever. And then it went to the next era with your Hoodoo Gurus, Nick Cave, Noiseworks. And then you get to the next era, Baby Animals, You and I, Jets, Silverchair, Living End, Magic Dirt. And it keeps going, Grinspoon, The Vines, Jet, Wolfmother. I can keep going forever, but
yeah,
it seemed to stop at that point. Like, it always seemed to move on to the next phase, whilst still retaining connection to those bands from past eras. And at any given time, you could put on a festival with a mix of all of these acts from all of these eras, and it would be dope.
Yep, exactly.
But now, like, I kind of feel like Tame Impala or Wolfmother might have been like the last bands that got to that kind of echelon, if that's the way you want to describe it. But then what happened? Like, why was it the next era looked after? I don't understand that.
Yeah, it's a crazy one. I mean, you can blame radio, you can blame the bands, maybe. I don't know. I mean, bands like Kingswood and I can't think of another one, but bands like Kingswood had a little run, never really made it any bigger than what they did. There was a couple of bands like Kiss Chasey and Getaway Plan after Wolfmother, but I mean, it died. Like, it stopped happening. There wasn't any. I mean, you could blame Triple J because they're the national radio station, and
right.
most of those bands from the 90s anyway got their break on Triple J, and Triple J has changed their music. So, but it's pretty lame to blame a radio station for everything. You can't really say that because Triple J stopped playing the music that the promoters stopped booking bands and the fans stopped going to gigs. Like, it's just not how it works. It's an unanswered question that and it's a broke system. Like you said, this lineup of Red Hot Summer Festival, majority of them, and I mean this in the most politest way, majority of them will be dead in 35 years.
Yeah.
And of old age, and a very healthy old age, that they will have done a lot in their lives. But most of them will be retired in 10.
Yeah.
And then what? It's just such a backwards thought process that why don't they see this and do something about it? And it's such a short-term thought process. Like the owner of Red Hot Summer Festival, does he not want his festival to last for 30 years? Is he just after the next 5 years of making big bucks and then he'll do something else? Because in 30 years, there won't be a Red Hot Summer Festival because there won't be any bands left to do it. So,
Exactly.
Yeah.
What will happen in years to come when they're all gone? Someone's got to take their place.
Exactly. And don't get me wrong, there is a plethora of huge bands in Australia, like great Aussie rock bands. I don't know if you've ever heard of the Lazies from Sydney. They've got a top 10 album in Canada right now.
Oh,
And
my God.
yeah,
And you
they've
wouldn't
just
know
come
about
to
it
Europe.
if you were an Australian citizen. You would have no idea that this
Nah.
band is having this success in a different country.
Yeah, and they go from Canada. Now they're breaking into Europe. They just did 8 shows in Europe, and there was a couple of sellouts. They weren't huge shows, but they were big club shows, and they were full. And did they fly back to Australia? No, they flew straight back to Canada because they've been accepted there, and they're getting good crowds there, and they're getting festivals, and they're doing something with their career where they haven't done a single thing in Australia. And not from lack of trying. I remember years ago they put out a big PR campaign, and their song got played on Triple M 4 or 5 times, and they played Cherry Bar in Melbourne and got 100 people in there. But that's the top of their Australian things. They've never done anything bigger in Australia, and now they've got a top 10 album in Canada. So
it's fucked up.
Go figure.
That's so fucked up. But I'm really happy for them. Good on them for finding success somehow, some way.
Yeah, it's the new Australian model is if you want to be a rock and roll band, an Australian rock and roll band, you got to leave Australia, and it's sad because that's not very Australian, is it?
No. Yeah, I have problems over here if we want to put on a gig somewhere and we contact a promoter. It's always like, oh, they're a rock band, okay. Like, they feel like we're not going to be able to draw any people or anything like that, and it's just, it seems like there's just this attitude out there that... And I think fucking Australia was built on rock and roll. I mean, that's where it all came from, The
pub rock scene is an Australian genre, It's such a crazy thought that now pub rock is more popular in Europe and America than it is in its home,
Exactly. Fuck me dead. All right, look, my blood pressure's going up. It does frustrate me, and I'm sure it frustrates you and a lot of other people that I guess you consider your colleagues over east.
Yeah, of course, man.
I don't know. I'm asking you real tough questions here, but I figured you're the guy to ask the questions. What do you think needs to be done to turn it around? Do all the promoters need to die, Brad? Does it start there? Do we need different people in these positions? What needs to happen?
I think if I knew the answer, I'd do it myself, mate.
Exactly.
It's a hard one. I think there needs to be investment in Australia. Like, there needs to be a record label come out and put money behind a dozen bands and kickstart. Put it this way: there might be 100 good pub rock bands in Australia right now, and not all of them are going to make it. There's probably 1,000 good pub rock bands in the 80s, and maybe 30 of them made it.
Yeah.
It's still a very hit and miss industry that we're in. But if you have somebody investing the time and effort to showcase, let's say a dozen Aussie rock bands and put something into these bands to kickstart it, if Van Halen didn't happen, then the 80s wouldn't have happened in LA, It takes one big pub rock band in Australia to kickstart the next wave sort of thing. And, the whole rant on the festival scene is one key element of it. If you open up a rising stage and use the money from the opening band that you're paying, $5,000 for an opening band, use that $5,000 to pay for the stage and the manpower to run a second stage at these festivals, you can put 5 more bands on for the same price.
Right.
And give 5 bands and here's the thing, you handpick 4 of them. You handpick 4 bands that are doing something big in the Australian music scene right now. Whether it be Hail Mary or Ragdoll from Perth, they're both doing big things, And those 4 spots go to bands that are doing stuff, and then you leave the opening spot to a Battle of the Bands. And Battle of the Bands are shit, but they can also raise money. So you throw a couple of heats and you put on a final, and then you have the public vote online and whatever. And one band that probably isn't ready for the spot gets the opening spot of a festival, and the festival has raised another few $1,000s to make sure that rising stage is a success.
Right.
You know, promoters need money to make this run. 5 bands, every festival gets a huge leg up and plays in front of a huge crowd, and there's 24 of them, so 24 times 5 is a fuckload of bands. Every year gets to play in front of 10 or 20,000 people, and that's just one festival,
Well, that sounds great. That's,
Yeah.
and that's just you just having a chat with me. You just thought of that just now.
Yeah, if I had $100,000 to start up a festival circuit like Red Hot Summer Festival, I would. It's not an easy thing to start up, and Dwayne, the guy who runs it, has done an amazing job to get it to where it is. But he can also do in all of those sorts of festivals, the Hotter Than Hell Festival, and all of them that cater for these heritage bands could do something a lot more and still make profit out of it. It's not like they have to give something up for somebody else. They can actually profit from doing something good.
Yeah, well said, man.
Yeah.
I think that might end the rant there on this whole situation, but I really appreciate the fact that you were willing to come on here and tell me how you felt about that, because I felt like when I read it, I was like, this is something that I want to put on this podcast because I want more people to hear about it. I want more people to know what, this situation is going on, and people that might not be even clued in to the fact that this has happened,
Yeah, no, it's good that you're spreading the word, man, because that's, when there's not the opportunity, the best thing anyone can do is spread the word and make it known that, there are bands out there doing what Australian pub rock did in the 80s and 90s. It's still there. It's
It
just
is
not seen.
Exactly. All right, we'll move on into, I guess a final run of questions here, bro.
Yeah, man.
In the edition of the 20th of April 2016 Kerrang! Magazine, Massive were described as a band more than ready to follow in Guns N' Roses' footsteps. So that begs the question, do you all hate one another yet?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I live in Germany just to get away from them. No, we're all right, man. To be honest, we've had a few lineup changes over the years, but
right.
It happens with bands, and it especially happens with bands that are doing a lot of touring. Some people don't last the journey. Some people decide they want to make some money in their life. But myself and Ben started this band, and we're the founding members, and we've just kept it going because we love playing rock and roll music, and we don't have any money, but we don't care because we get to tour the world and play music. So
yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Man. It's like Hail Mary. The only members still in the band from the original band, I think, is Kevin and Vass. So
yeah,
it's
yeah. I mean, it
happens.
changes over time, but the attitude, the thought behind the band doesn't change. People come and go, but the idea for the band and the journey that it takes is the band exclusive. It's not always the people in it. So, we haven't changed our style of music. We haven't, decided that we're only going to play on weekends. We go out and play 50 shows in 60 days still. It's just what we do as Massive.
Excellent, dude. You have a tour of Europe in the pipeline this year. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, we've only just started announcing it. We've still got a whole heap to announce. So we've announced the Spain run, which is 9 shows over 10 days.
Awesome.
We've got a couple of festivals in the UK. We're doing a headline tour in the UK, which is kind of our moneymaker. We've done well there before, so. And yeah, we've got France, Belgium, Germany still to announce. So, and Hard Rock Hell later in the year. So there's still a whole bunch to announce, and yeah, 2 months of sitting in a van, smelling like shit, and playing rock and roll.
I'm jealous.
Yeah.
What are your hopes and dreams for... Sorry, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, man, you say that, mate, but after 2 weeks in a van, you would love a day off and a shower and a bed that's your own. I tell you, man, it gets hard.
Well, I'll experience that when I go to Wacken next month.
Yeah, man, absolutely.
Showering, so, what are your hopes and dreams for the future of Massive?
Just huge mansions, unlimited cocaine and
Sick.
prostitutes, unlimited money, just people just wanting to be around us, just a humble lifestyle, man.
The men want to be me, and the women want to be with me.
Exactly, man.
Yeah,
You've said it.
I feel it, man.
Yeah, in all seriousness, though, it's just, if you can pay the bills doing music, that's my version of success.
Yeah.
I think, like, if you can not do a day job or not, bust your ass doing wrecking crew touring, then, and just play music for a living, then, man, I'll be a very happy person for the rest of my life. I'm happy anyway, and I'm happy, running the journey and trying to get there, and, seeing the highs and the lows of it. But yeah, success for me is just being good at what I do and being successful at what I do, really.
Excellent, dude. All right, so I'm going to finish it off with some fun, shitty questions.
Cool.
What's the most annoying thing a fan or a patron of one of the shows can say or has said to you at a show?
Fuck, man, you're throwing the hard ones out on me, aren't you?
Yeah, I know.
There was one guy, and I'm not going to say his name in case he listens, but he was in Germany, and he came up to Sweden, and he came up to Norway as well, which sounds like a long way, but it's a 4-hour drive between the three of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember after the show, the first time he asked for a picture and asked for us to make a little video for his wife. Yeah, cool, man, done. And then the next one, he asked us to make a video for his son, whose birthday it was. And that's cool, man. And then a year later, he messaged us and said, can we make a video for his son for his birthday? And we're like, okay. And then, last year he messaged us and said, it's his birthday, can we make him a video? To say happy birthday.
Someone else is supposed to ask you guys for him.
You can't ask us to make you a birthday message, man. That's a bit rank. But, that's probably not annoying. I think that's just weird, and, it sticks out because I'm just like, you can't ask someone for a birthday present. It's just wrong, man. Especially if you're not their friend. Like, cool guy. We don't know him outside of the pubs we've played at. Like, yeah, no, well. Can't win them all.
Well, hopefully the kid doesn't die and you get asked to make a speech at the funeral.
Yeah, I can't remember his name, so that'll be awkward.
For me, my example was I hate when people find out I'm the singer in a band, so they ask me to sing on the spot for them.
Yeah, that's bullshit, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't like that.
No. It's like, tell us a joke, clown. Like.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're a singer of a band. If I was a bricklayer, you wouldn't ask me to come over and lay some bricks at your house, would you?
Yeah.
Show us your job. Nah, man, I'm just out having a drink. Fuck off.
And the other story I had was once a guy came up to me after we played a set, and he asked me why my band made, and I quote, faggot music.
Oh.
So that's going to lead to a confrontation, isn't it?
Well, I don't know, man. I haven't heard your music enough yet, man. Maybe he knows someone who falls for the music and likes men, and he just put 2 and 2 together. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know
but
either.
Yeah, that sucks, eh?
Yeah, people are rude. All right, a few more stupid ones. Have you ever played the game Fuck, Marry, Kill?
Oh, mate, come on, man. I'm from Australia.
Excellent.
Of course I play Fuck, Marry, Kill. Yeah.
Thought so. Right. I'm going to use some people that you may or may not have met or have been close to over the years. So, Fuck, Marry, Kill. Glenn Hughes, Dave Gleeson, or Billy Gibbons?
Oh, I'd have to fuck Dave Gleeson, just because I know him well enough. I'd have to kill Glenn Hughes, and I hate it, because, oh man, he's an idol of mine, man. He's awesome, but we did tour with him, and he was kind of difficult on tour. He told the sound guy that he was going to fire him over the microphone. So just because if I had to choose, I'd have to kill one of them.
Yeah.
And that just leaves marry, Seems why not?
Yeah,
You know, he'll be dead soon. He's probably the richest out of the three, and he's probably the oldest, if I think. So
right.
Let's marry him up now. Let's get a ring on it.
You're thinking good. All right, you're thinking real smart,
man.
bro. And I thought I'd do a female version. Fuck,
Thank
marry,
you, mate.
kill. Adelita, Joan Jett, or Kylie Minogue.
All right. Fuck Adelita, just because I think she'd be whack. Like, you know, she's probably the kookiest out of all three of them. Oh man, I don't want to kill anyone. I would marry Kylie Minogue because she's shorter than me. I'm not the tallest bloke in the world, but I know Kylie Minogue's shorter than me, so that's a good thing. It'd be awkward if I married Adelita because she'd be taller than me. And that just leaves kill, and I don't want to kill Joan Jett.
Oh, you're killing Joan Jett. I can't believe it. That's disgusting.
It's terrible because, you know, out of the three, she's probably the most rock and roll and probably caters for my music sense the most. But maybe if I kill her, and this is very controversial, maybe I can take her spot on the festival.
Oh, excellent.
Shit.
Well, you know, this is Hotel Karlifornia. I want the controversy, and everyone out there knows that we're just having a bit of fun. Before we go, Brad, plug all your shit, all the websites and all that, and where people can find your music. Yep,
so my rock and roll band's called Massive. You can look us up on massiveoz.com or Facebook /MassiveOz. You know, we'll be touring Australia in December. We haven't got a Perth date yet, but we will be looking into it. Well, we've got our agent looking into it, so we're all over it, and hopefully we can get there this year. And yeah, my booking agency is Wrecking Crew Touring. We book Aussie bands in Europe, and we book European bands in Europe as well. So that's wreckingcrewtouring.com or Facebook /Wrecking Crew Touring. And, you know, if you message either one of them, you get me. So say hello, send me dick pics if you want. I probably won't respond if you do that, but yeah, that's me. Yeah.
Well, I just want to thank you for your time today, brother, and giving Hotel Karlifornia some legitimacy. You know, I mean, this helps, you know, what you've done so far, and the fact that you're from over east as well. I didn't want it to just be like a Perth podcast. I wanted it to really grow.
Yeah.
So I appreciate the fact that you'd help out a guy that you don't even know at all.
No, that's all right, mate.
And I definitely look forward to meeting you sometime for a beer whenever we're in the same city.
Let's make it a date. That sounds good, man.
Excellent. A date? Okay.
Date.
Now we're talking.
Yeah, of course, mate. After a few beers, why not?
Excellent. All right, well, thanks, Brad, and I will talk to you soon.
Sounds good, mate. Rock and roll.
And thank you, everyone out there, for listening to the second episode of Hotel Karlifornia. I'm your host, Karlifornia Infirri, signing off right here, right now. I'll see you all next time.
Yourself up, get out of the gutter. I'm here to give a little something to you. Free your mind like it doesn't even matter. Sell your soul for a piece of the truth. Goddamn motherfuckers getting into trouble. Gotta show them what it costs to be free. Tell me what it's worth and I'll make it pay double. Here's your chance to be someone today. Make your mind up, cause your time's up. Take it or it's taken away. Money in your pockets and in your hands. It's how to say the best when you just don't understand. Tell me pretty baby, tell me that it's true, it's alright. Oh, we do it for the money. hard to save face when you just don't understand. Tell me pretty baby, tell me that it's true, it's alright. Running